America, it's time for some straight talk. You love your phone. Look at you. You hardly put it down. But you don't love that expensive wireless plan, do you? So what if I told you can keep that phone, network, and number 2 for a lot less? Well, this is me telling you. It's time to switch to Straight Talk, guys. Bring your own phone and get unlimited plans starting at just $45 a month on America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE networks. Straight Talk Wireless. Only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
I am watching on television here. I did not see how that Chiefs game ended. So sorry to all of you gamblers out there who had the under and had the Washington team. You had the game won until the last play, laterals galore, ball in the end zone. Chiefs win and cover the over. Oh my gosh, I just saw that, and I can't believe that so many of you either lost or won a game, or were watching the end of that game and lost or won money on how it is that the end of that game went. But beyond that, I just heard during the break, Mike Ryan is falling in love with Alex Smith. It took 4 games. Mike Ryan seems to be in, and Stugotz is spitting at his computer. He was just daring Andy Reid to go 14-2 and then choose Mahomes over Alex Smith. For some reason, Stugotz was staring at his microphone, staring at the computer, daring Andy Reid to go 14-2 and get rid of Alex Smith. We'll get to all of this in a second. But what I am telling you is this about the Kansas City Chiefs. That right there is the perfect team to lose a home playoff game.
1 seed, get the bye.
Perfect 1 seed loses at home to somebody 13-9. Like,
it's a different team, man. I'm telling you.
No, I know. I saw their skill guys. Look, man, Kelsey is an extraterrestrial jackass. I love him. Love him. He is a jerk. Love him.
He's great.
He is just out there just spewing. He is a sprinkler of jerkery.
And I think he's their third best skill position guy.
I don't know about that. I think we might want to walk that one back.
Well, Kareem Hunt is certainly number 1.
Well, I know that they just get the ball in different places. I feel like, Kelsey is Gronk with Alex Smith as his quarterback.
He's running the ball. They're running plays for Travis Kelce. It's phenomenal.
I mean, he's a beast. He's a physical beast. It's like watching a great power forward playing playing football.
Yes.
I mean, you can't cover him. You cannot. And so I don't know if Kelsey. All right, put it on the board there, Guillermo. Put it on the poll. Kelsey, is he Kansas City's best option, second best option, third best option? But the Alex Smith thing, yes, he does look better this year, although he didn't early in that game. He is still a little bit of a statistical weirdity. I don't think any of that is a word.
It's not. It's oddity. Yeah, oddity. Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing.
He is but the thing is, you think he's throwing the ball downfield more, and going into last night, he had not thrown the ball downfield at all in the last 2 games. At all. He wasn't doing it. He did it last night, and he did it in the first game.
Yeah, well, for the first time in his career, for this season, now we're 4 games in, but he's averaging 8.82 yards per reception. Now, that's big when you consider he's never been over 8 before, and he's close to 9 right now.
Yes, and that's acceptable. That's a different quarterback. I'd like to see it sustained over a season, and his skill guys are helping him. But you don't trust that team. And here's the weird thing about what you guys do with Andy Reid. Andy Reid is an exceptional football coach. And if he had won 1 Super Bowl, you'd believe he's an exceptional football coach. And today, after 4 games, seeing that they're the only unbeaten, you believe for the moment, wow, Andy Reid could coach. But you will turn around and betray him in the playoffs when he loses with these same limits. And you will say that is some sort of reflection on him, even though he is a great football coach.
Right. No, he is. But we will. That's what we do, man. Like, do it in the postseason.
I know, but
he's done it once. He went to a Super Bowl.
But what I'm saying is he is maximizing his team's limitations.
He is.
He's consistently maximizing his team's limitations.
I mean, Dan, the team's talented. I mean, say what you will about Alex Smith. The rest of the team is talented.
Stugotz, I'm not saying it's not talented. I agree with you that it's talented, and their quarterback is really limited. And you guys will change your mind on him this year, and their quarterback is really limited. And if they go 14-2, you will tell me their quarterback is different, and I will tell you their quarterback is really limited. And when they lose a home playoff game because their quarterback is really limited, I will remind you of how limited their quarterback is.
But aren't his limitations self-inflicted? It's not that he can't do those things, is that he's so risk-averse, he chooses not to. When he throws a ball downfield, he throws a pretty ball.
He does, but he's that kind of risk-averse, and he's risk-averse that way by design. They are terrified of turnovers. It's the same thing happening in Detroit right now. They're trying to get Matthew Stafford to be more like Alex Smith so they can trust all of the complementary pieces, but sometimes you need a quarterback to win games for you, not just avoid losing them. And so far this season, against the Patriots and Washington, he's done that. But I saw Vikings start 5-0 last year. This means next to nothing to me right now. 4-0 after 4 games, when injuries can ravage you and you still have that quarterback, 4-0 means nothing to me.
Right. Well, injuries was a big key there. It could happen to the Chiefs the same way it happened to the Vikings. I don't know. We'll see. But, Dan, since 2011, and you're right, he doesn't lose the game. And that's part of what I think frustrates many people about Alex Smith is he's playing not to lose the game. But he has 38 interceptions in 6 seasons and 4 games. I mean, that's pretty impressive, man.
Yes.
And he hasn't had one yet this year. 8 touchdowns against no interceptions.
Yes, agreed. Look up his sacks.
Okay.
Because he's taken a lot of those in exchange for interceptions. And I get it. It's risk-averse football, and they're able to take more risk. That was a fun game last night.
That was super fun.
That was a fun game last night, even though, the first half was pretty dreadful.
Yeah, and to be fair, I've seen their 2 primetime games in full, and the 2 games in which he wasn't throwing the ball deep, it was whenever it popped up on the red zone. But to me, in this really small sample, and I've diluted this enough, I think, by telling you I've only watched 2 games in full, he doesn't seem to be taking as many sacks, and he's moving around more. There are times that I feel like Alex Smith would take the ball down and just take that sack, and now he's running away and making big plays. He won them that game.
Alex Smith is an excellent athlete who doesn't show it to you often enough.
Right.
Alex Smith is comparable athletically to Colin Kaepernick.
Sure. He was sacked 28 times last year, by the way. 45 the year before that, 45 the year before that, 39, 24, 44. He's been sacked a lot.
Yeah, and that's not because his offensive line is bad. It's because he doesn't mind being in 2nd and 17 and then throwing 2 checkdowns and punting.
The spread offense revolutionized college football and then the NFL. The guy that did that was Urban Meyer, and he did that mainly with Alex Smith. He did that to the point where it got everybody's attention with Alex Smith, and you're seeing that athletic flash every time now, which is fun to watch. He also looks like he's in incredible shape.
Yes.
The veins are popping out of his arms. He was feeling this heat from Mahomes, man.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Gruden in there.
You did throw.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing that on purpose. Gruden made an appearance there by accident?
I'll tell you, man. He's feeling the heat from Mahomes, man.
I thought that was on purpose.
But Dan is right, Mike. I think about it, okay? They have the 1 seed, they have a bye, and in strolls Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers.
Mike,
right?
tell me.
Like, who are you going to have more confidence in?
That happened last year in the playoffs.
I know. Or, okay, in strolls Tom Brady and the Patriots.
No, but just tell me.
I'm falling for it this year.
Are you this year? Okay.
Wait, where have you been? I've been falling for it every year.
Look, this is the beauty. This is the beauty of those skill guys. I get it. You're so starved for big plays in that league because everything's 3 yards and everything is 10-minute drives that go for 51 yards. The Bills had an 11-minute drive on Sunday that ended in a field goal. I mean, go bleep yourselves, all of you. Seriously. An 11-minute drive that ended in a field goal. That's what football is now. And the Chiefs are going to get to the playoffs, and you're not going to trust them at all. And the betting line isn't going to trust them. And they might get there at 14-2. And I'm telling you, they are built the way that you're going to realize you're holding.
Well, do you trust them more now because of Tariq Hill and Kareem Hunt?
Yes, I do. But what I would say to you is this. You guys are giving me 4 games of Alex Smith, and I'm holding it up against 10 years of Alex Smith. And so maybe he's changed. He does look fitter. He is showing off his athleticism. He is taking more risks, even though it's not many risks.
What the Bills did that you just lamented there, that's what you typically do when you're on the road facing an NFL MVP and you're trying to keep the ball away from them.
I get it.
That's a great strategy.
Yes, I am actually not objecting to the strategy when their offense is better than your offense. I'm objecting to it aesthetically. I don't want to watch that.
Right.
I've got no interest in watching you not only go 11 minutes with Tyrod Taylor, but you're taking the Atlanta offense away from me as a viewing experience as well. You're not allowing me to watch anybody play offense.
Sure.
You're keeping the ball for 11 minutes, and you're not allowing me as the consumer to watch anybody playing offensive football.
Chiefs are 27-9, going back 2 seasons and 4 games now. 27-9. Like, I'll take that guy.
Okay.
I'm a Jets fan, man. Give me that guy.
But
Give me Alex Smith.
Hold on. Okay. Because, again, Andy Reid is an exceptional coach. He is one before this with a Chiefs team that made us wonder, how the hell do they keep winning? How do they keep winning? But he's going to get to the playoffs, and you're going to tell me he's a bad coach when he loses.
Oh, his time management is so bad. It's so bad.
The worst.
All the time.
Cost the Eagles a Super Bowl.
Awful.
Yep.
But you guys would agree he's a good coach.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
Until he loses.
Oh, yeah, he's going to lose.
Then he's terrible.
Probably.
Yep.
Okay, very
good. It'll be because
until he loses with Alex Smith. Until Alex Smith inevitably betrays you because he is, and this is not up for dispute, it's on his birth certificate, Alex Smith. Like,
that's a good point.
I mean,
he is Alex Smith. Yeah,
written right there. Alex Smith. You win.
Yeah. Conversation's over.
Statistical weirdity. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is that a phrase? Is that an English phrase? Statistical weirdity.
Dan Le Batard.
Forget the off-court stuff now, because I already brought that up. That's far more serious, and I appreciate your answers with that. But on the basketball court, on a lighter level, you have put a spotlight on your sons.
He put a spotlight on them.
If you are just joining us, we are watching First Take. We go back now to live coverage.
Stugotz.
But Daddy elevating him the way that you do. You cutting checks. Your son's going to have to cash his max.
Cutting no checks. Y'all the one trying to cash these checks.
LeVar, does it ever seem to you like everyone's outraged by a lot of people who
Max, get out of the way, Max!
Yeah.
Max, get out of the way!
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Greg Cody is out today and is unable to give you the Straight Talk. That is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts.
He's at this Jeter press conference. Derek Jeter is going to be introduced as the head of the Marlins today. Greg Cody couldn't be with us. We'll check in with him at that press conference and ask him about all the things that Derek Jeter didn't say, because he never says anything interesting. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Has Derek Jeter ever publicly or privately said anything interesting? Yes or no? Something else I want to put on the poll. Alex Smith is 14-2 with a home playoff game after a bye. Von Miller's coming to town. What happens?
And to leave.
I mean, they're just built. They are built. And maybe this year will be the surprise, but it seems like they've got all of the elements solid everywhere, but great at nothing.
Right.
That feels like one of those Schottenheimer teams in Kansas City that would lose after being 14-2 at home because you don't trust the quarterback enough. And I know many of you, look, man, many of you are getting mad because Alex Smith is 4-0 and he's played very well, and he's played unusually well for Alex Smith.
Yep.
I don't think that Alex Smith is terrible. I just think he's average. I don't think he's terrible. I think he's an average NFL quarterback. Maybe a little above average, given how weak you get when you get into 10, 11, and 12. Maybe even a little above average.
I think slightly above average is a fine place for him, with some upside, because he now finally has some skill position players.
That's all well and fine, and what I'm telling you is that Andy Reid pretty clearly believes in the idea that he needs to get a little better at that position, because you don't do what they did with Mahomes unless he thinks he can also turn Mahomes into not just a great quarterback, but a great quarterback with a better skill set that is less risk averse than Alex Smith, because that's what they drafted.
Right.
That's what they were trying to do with that draft pick.
Tough to get better than 4-0.
Yeah.
Tough to be better than 27-9 over your last 2 seasons and change. Like, go ahead, Andy Reid. I dare you to go 14-2 and allow Alex Smith to leave Arrowhead Stadium to leave Kansas City. Go ahead, I dare you. Because of Patrick Mahomes. Because you think you could turn Patrick Mahomes into something that Alex Smith is not. Alex Smith is a very good quarterback. Okay? No, he's a very good quarterback, Dan.
You just talked yourself in from average. You just went from
I said
average.
Slightly above average is a fair place for you to put him, but I've always said that Alex Smith is a very good quarterback. I am rooting for Alex Smith to finally get it done this year because I've always said that Alex Smith is a good quarterback. And Andy Reid, the audacity, first off, to do this to Alex Smith, who's been very good and loyal to Andy Reid and won him a lot of football games, to dangle Patrick Mahomes out there because Andy Reid thinks he's some sort of quarterback whisperer, which he is not, by the way. He is not, because if he was, Alex Smith would be better than he's been the last few years. So I dare.
That's a record for contradiction.
It's on Andy Reid.
That is
the only reason Alex Smith is not better is Andy Reid.
That's a world record for Stugotz not paying attention to any of the things he said the sentence before. Like, that right there was just gobbledygook of conflicting opinions, none of which made any sense.
That's what I do. I hope
I don't know what you just did there.
Well, if I give out enough conflicting opinions, I hope that it will
One of them will be right.
Well, people will get confused and not really know where I'm going with it, and somewhere within that take, I will eventually be right. Yes, that's
okay,
what I do.
But what you've had,
who's going to get rid of a quarterback who's 14-2? Who's going to do that?
Here is what happens with these situations that gets complicated. We just talked about this. That window closed on Cincinnati fast as they tried to talk themselves into the idea that they had a quarterback. That window closed on Cincinnati. They kept trying to talk themselves into, no, Andy Dalton's enough. Andy Dalton's enough. And this right now isn't the right time to ask you this question, but if I'd asked you at any point in the last couple of years who you want, Andy Dalton or Alex Smith, we're having an argument about it because there's not that much of a difference in the conversation that we're having, even though I happen to think that Alex Smith is a good deal better than Andy Dalton. A good deal better than Andy Dalton, because I think Andy Dalton would be out of the league if not for A.J. Green, or at least a backup.
So you think if Alex Smith, if he had A.J. Green all these years, he would have looked a lot better than Andy Dalton looked with A.J. Green?
Not a lot better. I think they would have. No, not a lot more. No, not a lot more. I don't think that either one of those guys are quarterbacks that you trust. And I don't think I'm saying anything controversial with that statement. But this can be a tricky thing because look at Buffalo, Stugotz. It seemed like they were trying to get rid of their Alex Smith all offseason.
Right. Dan, I'm just saying when you have a quarterback that gives you, a 12-4, which I believe the Chiefs were last year, who's 4-0 this year, who was 11-5 the year before, like, be careful wanting that guy to walk away from your organization because you have no idea how good Patrick Mahomes is.
Fair points all, but I would say if I'm Andy Reid, I'm looking at that and saying, have I been anything other than 10-6 or 11-5 ever with whoever my quarterback is? Because it hasn't happened very often to me. Andy Reid, whoever his quarterback is, he's having very good seasons, regular seasons, wherever he is. Andy Reid he had a couple of bad seasons in Philadelphia at the end, but not many. Like this is...
Well, he had a 12-4 last year, is my point.
I know, but he did that all the time in Philadelphia. That's what he was doing in Philadelphia with Donovan McNabb. That's what got him to be Andy Reid. It's why Kansas City gave him that job so quickly after he'd been fired. Immediately, everyone knew Andy Reid would not be unemployed very long.
And we do have a fairly recent example of a team ditching Alex Smith for a younger quarterback and that younger quarterback taking them next level.
And where's that team right now? I mean, next level, they didn't win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I realized they got there. They were a play away from winning it.
I'm in a play away, Stugotz.
But they don't have a ring.
Okay, very good. All right, good conversation. Excellent work by you throughout this segment.
Thank you.
I realized they were a play away.
Show me the money.
Where are they now?
Okay.
Be careful, because Patrick Mahomes, same thing will happen. Okay, you play away, and then what will happen?
If you're a play away, you're good enough to win the championship.
Right. I mean, the quarterback's not even in the league anymore.
Okay. You're so right. You know what? I've been boxed in. The quarterback that beat out Alex Smith is not even in the league anymore. That bum, because he couldn't play, and the only reason he's not in that league is because he's clearly a stinky quarterback. No other reason.
Don Le Batard.
Gone with the Wind was 4 hours long?
4 hours too long.
Really? Gone with the Wind is overrated?
It is overrated.
Okay, very good.
Doesn't hold up.
Stugotz.
I mean, how long does it take for something to blow away?
I do love how happy that makes you when you get the Hakeem Nicks laugh.
The highest honor.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Enjoyed talking to him one time on Highly Questionable, Liam Neeson. He kept calling me by a name that wasn't my name. I don't know whether it was Joe or Don. What was he calling me? Dave, Steve? Mike Ryan will find that. It wasn't Dan. Whatever it was, he was calling me throughout that. You could see the smile keep creeping up on my face as he continually. Who called you Don last week? Who was it or Doug? Who called you
Michael
Doug
McDonald.
last week?
Yeah, Michael McDonald called me Doug.
Okay.
Yeah, Doug.
Michael McDonald called Stugotz, whose real name is John. He called him Doug. And here's Liam Neeson not calling me Dan.
If I had asked you many years ago, hey, action star, this is where you're going to end up, action star, would you have said, yeah, that's probably so?
No, not in a million years, David. Not in a million years.
Liam, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate the time.
Thanks, David. Take care.
David. Maybe he's a fan of your brother's art.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I'm curious here, LeboStudios.com or LeboArt.com if you want to check out my brother's artwork. One of the things that I really don't want to talk about Alex Smith anymore. We gave it 30 good minutes.
30 minutes of sports radio.
Yeah. But Tom Petty passed away yesterday, and a lot of people goes back to your childhood. Some of these artists, when they create for you, they take you back to moments and memories and times that might be happier than where you are now. So you get crushed when you lose one of these celebrities that maybe you didn't know in any meaningful way, but their art moved you to learn more about them. And so a lot of people were really hurt yesterday. Yesterday was a terrible day all around. But what I wanted to talk to you about, we talked about this with Mina Kimes last week. I am made uncomfortable by what happens with social media, where I feel like there's a lot of fake grieving. Now, this is not directed at many of you who are deeply hurt by everything that happened yesterday, but people just want to be around the conversation. To me, it's macabre. And then what ends up happening is that, God forbid you're like TMZ sometimes and you report it too early, or like the Marlins reporting the death of Muhammad Ali before it had actually been made public. In those 2 hours or so in between where people are grieving or want to be mad at somebody about something that's senseless, then they go after the report that was wrong for a couple of hours yesterday. They go after TMZ. What's this great need to report the death first? But what I wonder about in those circumstances, because all of it makes me uncomfortable, I would say to you, yes, as well. What's the great need to be the first to report that Tom Petty passed away? But I would say to you, no, you need it. Based on the behavior that I saw yesterday of how you reacted to that news, and really that many of you weren't actually grieving, you just wanted to share with your friends that you knew, or maybe inform them that he had died, like that's why it happens. It happens. If you want to blame TMZ or other people for being overzealous about reporting deaths too early, which we should all wait. We should all wait until we know someone's dead. But nah, that's not the way that one works. You want it, and then when you get it, and you have to wait for a couple of hours because it's life support or something else. Like, the whole thing feels gross to me. And I'm not talking to those of you who are actually grieving right now. I'm talking to,
because a lot of people were hurt yesterday.
I'm talking to the many of you who come to this conversation to just be a part of the conversation. It feels unpleasant to me. Am I being a weirdo that way?
Well, the need to get it out first, and the people's desire to want that news as quickly as possible.
Well, and to tell your friends.
Yeah, to tell your friends.
Like, a lot of people shared, but it wasn't to grieve. It was just to be around. Hey, I've got information that you don't have.
You want to be the person that informs all your friends that this happened to somebody.
Yeah, it feels gross to me.
You're right. It does.
And it also feels pervasive. Am I wrong? And then what ends up happening, like, TMZ exists because you want it. TMZ does not exist because you don't want it. I know many of you hate TMZ and the idea of TMZ, and Lord knows celebrities hate TMZ because of the entitlement that we as fans have to these celebrities in their bedrooms and their lives.
Right. But when you get that information, what are you supposed to do with it, though?
Oh, no, wait. I'm not. I'm not telling anybody how to grieve. What I'm telling you is that what I experienced yesterday watching some people is you're not actually grieving. You just want to be a part of something that everyone's talking about.
Right.
I just saw too much of it yesterday where I was like, what? What are we doing? Am I wrong in experiencing that way? Because it's awfully. I know I am raining down judgment on all of it.
You are, but there's something to it. And I think Russell Brand, who will be joining us later today, yesterday gave voice to it during the interview. It's such a weird thing that goes on chemically, where you find out about some sort of tragedy and you pick up your phone and you express the desire to share your thoughts. It's very narcissistic, and it just lends itself to this addiction that we all have and don't really call it out by name.
That's, the addiction to our devices, the addiction to be around others communicating in a fake world has been a fascinating, maybe the most fascinating evolution I've seen from human beings in my lifetime. That it would happen this quickly, an addiction to technology that you can't even imagine the idea right now of being outside of a ballpark and not being able to find your friends because none of you know what cell phones are because they don't exist yet. So you have no way of just even finding people now. And we've gotten to the place here with technology where you really don't need to even talk to anybody in person anymore. No, anybody about anything. You could just communicate everything that you want communicated on all of these social websites without ever interacting with a human being.
I hate it. And I will tell you, as a parent, it's the biggest fear for my kids moving forward because that phone is glued to them. The second they wake up, the second they go to bed, they're checking Instagram, they're checking all the social media sites, and there's so much, there's so many fakes out there, Dan. It is terrifying for me. But here's the thing. I tried to instill a rule in my house where we put the phones away, everyone in the house, for an hour, and my kids were freaking out. Like, they can't get through an hour or two without their phones. Yeah. I'm fine with it. They can't.
No, but I'm not recusing myself from this. I'm not kidding you. I can't imagine how much stuff like this there is, right? We've told people that gum sales are down. Gum companies are feeling the fact that everyone in line at the grocery store is in their phone, and they're not making any of those impulse purchases in the grocery line on gum. I think there are really a whole bunch of manifestations about this particular dependency that we have that so many of us aren't aware of. Like, I work every week, twice a week, with somebody who helps me do a Pilates and stretching routine, and my neck ain't right. And my neck's not right because it's always in my phone for 4 hours here while we're doing the show. It's always down and in my phone. I mean, the next evolution of human beings is going to be looking at the floor.
Time for Dan to reluctantly take part in something Stugotz couldn't be happier doing.
The evolution chart is going to have something that is, we're going to go back to being the ape. Watch how it happens. Yeah, with a phone in our hand.
I've been like in the heat of the moment type stuff on a Sunday night with my wife, and the text will go off, and she'll stop what it is that we're doing to check the text.
Oh, no.
It's
No.
It's never happened to you?
Does your wife do that? No.
Well, get married.
She can't wait 15 seconds?
15 seconds,
That's what I say to her. I mean, and 15's giving me a lot of credit.
Dan Le Batard.
America is addicted to its technology, and it's really unhealthy.
I keep having this discussion with my wife because she is on that phone nonstop. And what I have asked for our family to do moving forward is let's figure out a time where all of us put our phones away and none of us use them till the next morning.
Stugotz.
Yeah, but nobody wants to be with you.
That just dawned on me. Thanks, Dan.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Greg Cody of the Miami Herald is usually in with us on Tuesdays, but if you're listening to this, Cody, on the way to that Jeter press conference, call in real quick so that we can talk to you about this Derek Jeter press conference announcing that he is starting leading the Marlins. Many of you, this might not be the best place to get into this segment. Russell Brand going to join us at 12:30, Ron McGill at noon Eastern, and Domonique Foxworth will spend an hour with us here, the next hour with us after this segment. But I'm just curious. Many people have received the Michael Bennett information. It's a curious place to take a victory lap for a lot of people. They are questioning because the police put out some video. They are questioning whether or not Michael Bennett's story is true. And they want me to apologize for jumping to the conclusion that everything he said was true, even though I didn't jump to that conclusion. And I said, I don't know, maybe he's lying. But the thing that's curious about some of this, look, I don't want to believe racism exists either. I don't want to believe police brutality exists. I don't want to believe that Michael Bennett would be mistreated by the police. But when he says that, I have enough body of work of police officers covering things up and not a lot of body of work where black people are faking crimes by the police that, of course, I'm going to be tilted in a direction on if a black person makes an accusation against a police officer. What I have a history of in public is more police officers protecting their own, covering things up, changing stories, working together to make sure that no other police officer gets in trouble because they can all see themselves in a position where they've accidentally shot someone and their life is over, and so they rush to the defense of each other. I've got a lot more history of seeing stuff like that than I do have a history of black athletes just making up that the police mistreated them.
In public, you said that. You went out of your way to say that. That's important because that will get diluted publicly. You're saying just the public stories, right?
Right. Yes. You just don't have a lot of history. So many of you want me to apologize because the police department sent out a video. And honestly, I don't know what happened there. How could I possibly know? To me, Michael Bennett is just a vessel for another story. Just because it did or didn't happen to him doesn't mean it's not happening all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are taking a victory lap on this. Like, if that video proves conclusively to you, that video edited with several weeks to prepare, that video is proof that police brutality doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, it's to me, it's
right, as a blanket statement. It's weird. Maybe it did not exist in that particular case. Although Michael Bennett lived it, so he felt.
Yeah, but he lived it. No, but there are just so many people looking to point out that, yes, it wasn't white police officers who did that. Doesn't mean that black people only suffer indignities and racism from white people, but okay. It was Latin. 2 Latin guys and a black guy. If you want to parse the details on whether this is true or not, on a gun to the head, whether that happened, whether he was black, to me it doesn't matter as much as Michael Bennett, because of his life experience and because of his skin color and because of his culture, Michael Bennett is predisposed to expect it to happen. To me, that's the point. Like, the details, I wasn't there. None of us were there. The details don't much matter. Whether this particular detail is right and that detail is wrong, I don't know what you want me to apologize for because it feels like a victory lap. You want an apology from me to prove what? I'm sorry for believing that police misbehave?
To make themselves feel better, maybe.
No, to make themselves believe that racism isn't a thing.
Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, STUGOTZ, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
A Zebra steel pen feels good the second you pick it up. These are tough pens that combine style, strength, and value. So, as you battle your way through the day, arm yourself with a tough Zebra steel pen. Now you've found Zen in your pen, and it's tough as steel.
Dan Le Batard.
Is this a middle school show or a big boy show?
Stugotz.
Kind of a middle school show.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, creators of the Name Your Price tool. Choose from a range of coverage options and pick the price that works for you. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Oakland Raiders will be without quarterback Derek Carr for the next 2 to 6 weeks after he suffered a transverse process fracture in his back Sunday. Braves general manager, I can't pronounce his name. John Sherholz was forced to resign Monday after an investigation. Now it's John Capolella.
Capolella.
John Capolella. Of course. Rolls right off the tongue. He was forced to resign Monday after an investigation by Major League Baseball revealed serious rules violations in the international player market.
Mike, when was the last time John Schultz was the general manager of the Braves? Was it in this century?
I just found out he wasn't still.
Was it late 90s or was it anyways?
I'm checking it out. When do you think it was?
It's not. No, I'm guessing he had like some sort of consultant role, but general manager, I think he stopped being the general manager a long time ago.
2007 was when he stopped being general manager, but he was still Atlanta Braves president until 2016.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. And finally...
But just to be clear, he's not the one guilty of a crime, right?
No, that is John
That's a name
Coppola.
we want to get right.
Yeah,
okay,
John
very
Coppola.
good. Okay, very good.
He's forced to resign on Monday.
All right.
Are the Marlins looking at him?
I mean, they were, I think.
Oh, okay.
They're probably reconsidering, and additional information has become available.
And finally, in Greek mythology, it was believed that redheads turned into vampires after they died. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. Domonique Foxworth is in studio, and he's giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts.
So we're getting a lot of people saying that I'm moving the goalposts. Our thanks to Domonique Foxworth for being in with us. Many people yelling at me, saying I'm backtracking. So, Domonique, help me out here, because I've been getting hit with a lot of folks who want me to apologize for some of the things I said about Michael Bennett. I will not apologize for one of them. I did not jump to any conclusions.
What do they want? Like some sort of formal press conference?
It's a weird environment we're in right now. And I don't know, Domonique, would you prefer to talk about something else? Would you prefer to talk about Chiefs football? Is there anything else that you would prefer to talk about?
I'm here to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. It's always fun. I love talking about race, especially with listeners who are not looking to hear about race. But I mean, the conversation there it's a short one. I did a video for the Undefeated this week about why sports is the perfect place for our social and political issues to play themselves out, because where else is our tribalism so obvious and brazen? Or we can all watch the same play, and I'm a fan of a particular team, and I experience that play very different from a fan of another team. I mean, the same is true in many of these social and political and racial issues. Is what's happening is people are kind of tribal, and I'm not saying this to say that I'm not a culprit also, because when I hear about, and you mentioned this earlier, when I hear about issues of racism affecting black people, I automatically believe it because of my history, my experience, and just the history of this country. And I think the opposite is true for some people on the other side.
I do think that there's a division there that's based on just our life experiences. I'm telling you, Stugotz, and look, I need to preface this by saying that this is nothing. It's a nothing thing that happened to me, but it did open my eyes. I always used to just believe police reports. I thought police reports were facts. I really did. I thought I
think most people
No,
did,
no. Most white people, maybe. Not most people.
That's what I meant. Most white people believe them, yes.
No, yes. And so I used to just believe that until something happened to me where, like, I saw the police report. It wasn't what happened to me. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. But it was being reported because it was a public thing, right? I got arrested at Johnny Rockets. Of course, it was around French fries. Of course. Just of course.
You were upset they put a smiley face with the ketchup?
It's a whole long story. I was being
Did someone try to steal a couple of your fries?
No, I was being sarcastic with a police officer, but he can't arrest me for sarcasm. So he arrested me for drunken disorderly conduct when I hadn't had anything to drink. So anyways, regardless, it's a nothing story, but it changed my viewpoint. It was a personal experience that changed my viewpoint on, oh, wait a minute, I can't just believe. Well, hell, I used to believe in newspapers this way. I can't just believe that a newspaper printed a police report that all of that would be false. I was terribly naive until it happened to me.
I went to Morocco for my brother's wedding, which involves a lot of other very interesting and funny stories. But one of the things that was became quite clear to me is we're one of the few places in the country that has this type of faith in our institutions. And I think it's dangerous and it's problematic. So, like, the police are an institution, and many people in this country just have blind faith in them. And the same thing is true for our politicians and so many other institutions in our country. When you have that type of blind faith, I think you are headed down a unsafe path. And I think, again, it's based on your experience. But in Morocco, they don't have faith in any of their institutions. They second guess and question everything, which maybe is too far on the other end, but it's a healthy way to live your life.
Well, I find so many things just maddening about everything that's happening in this country culturally. But one of the things that's always arriving on my doorstep is how much better people in this country have it, and specifically black people, than in most countries. But I mean, better is not what the United States has ever aspired to. Like,
I mean, minorities are supposed to just settle for better.
Well, right, that's right. You've had it.
They want equality.
But I'm saying that's part of this conversation, though. Like that, it's like, well, you've got it really good, and then you start going through, like, if we were to use that logic, right? I believe there are 13 or 14 countries where domestic abuse is not a crime of any kind. We're America, so we're doing it better, right? We're doing it better than other places, but we ain't doing it right.
Nope.
We're not doing domestic abuse right.
We shouldn't just be settling for better.
But we're doing better than I think I've got that right. I think there are double-digit countries where domestic abuse is not any kind of crime. Not any kind of crime. You can hit your wife.
So I brought up Morocco and the show Ozarks that you were raving about a few months ago. I decided on my trip to Morocco I was going to watch that show. So speaking of different countries having different standards, pornography is illegal in Morocco. There are a lot of graphic sex scenes in Ozarks. So I'm sitting in the Moroccan airport trying to watch Ozarks, and all types of nudity, people going at it.
Nice.
Police walking behind me and me getting terrified, but also thinking like, but I can watch this. It's not wrong. So I almost ended up in a Moroccan jail.
Hold on a minute. I don't remember Ozark having a lot of. Did Ozark have a lot of?
Yep.
I don't even remember this.
Yeah, especially early on in the season.
Okay. Ozark is good. You should watch it. Did you like it? Did you finish the season?
I was enjoying it, except for just being nervous the whole time that I was going to get arrested. And
man, if you want to get scared, guys, you got to read about what the penalties are in some countries for having marijuana on you, for having any kinds of drugs on you. I believe there are still countries that have the death penalty on that one, on catching you with drugs, if I'm not mistaken. Mike, I'm just speaking off the top of my head. Was I right about the number of countries that allow? How many countries allow domestic abuse?
It looks like I'm reading a very recent article where it says 15 countries domestic violence is legal.
Yeah, I researched it. Somewhere between 20 and 15 is what I got.
But Domonique is so right about this disconnect. There's just a disconnect on the way the life experiences have been lived. So I feel like a lot of people out there are like Dan Gilbert, where Dan Gilbert is getting the voicemails on what LeBron is doing, and he's like, I did not realize that this racism was a thing.
I think the difficult thing, at least from my perspective, is that it's a revelation that we seem to have every 10 years or so. Like, I remember when I was a kid, having understanding that was kind of ingrained in me from older black boys about like just have a general distrust of the police. And then the Rodney King thing happened, and it seemed like the whole country was like, oh, wait, so black people weren't making this up? Mm-hmm. And I felt like that same thing happened in Charlottesville recently, where all this stuff happened down in Charlottesville, and a lot of people were like, wait, there's still like blatant racists in this country. And a lot of us are thinking like, oh, you thought that went away?
I think they'd prefer not to think about it.
I'm looking at some of these countries and the harshest drug laws in the world, and yes, some of them, if you get caught with drugs, you're punished with death. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yes, so
Malaysia, China. In China, you're forced to attend a drug rehab in a facility run by the government. Execution is the penalty for some drug crimes.
All right, let's lighten it up around here in the next segment. Let's make it a little more fun in the next segment.
I tried to tell my story about porn in Morocco, but you just gave me the dead face, and we're going to stick on this serious stuff.
All right, we'll get back to the goofy stuff in a second.
Awkward transition. Time for some ads.
Larceny Bourbon, Stugotz. You will enjoy the game a lot more if you listen to Stugotz and get some Larceny Bourbon. Tell them, Gotz.
Yup, in baseball, a smooth swing is the best way to get a hit. In bourbon, a smooth taste is the best way to win over fans. And Larceny Wheated Bourbon is the key to smooth. Just like a scout knows how to pick great players, their master distiller hand selects only the finest barrels for a true small batch bourbon. Larceny Bourbon is award-winning and made with more wheat for a smoother taste. It's bourbon making at its finest. Get caught in the act. Unlock the smoothness of Larceny Bourbon today. Try some for yourself. Think wisely, drink wisely. Larceny Bourbon, Bardstown, Kentucky. 46% alcohol by volume.
A texter writes in, wow, keep avoiding the argument. Did Bennett lie or not? No, that's you avoiding the argument. That's you avoiding the argument. You want to make it about this one guy. I'm never talking about this one guy. I don't know what happened there. Neither do you, but the idea that you believe an edited videotape suggests that there's a larger gulf here than you realize, that you simply believe a videotape that was edited clearly by an agency that is incentivized to cover it up. Like, that's fine. You can believe that. I'm skeptical. I'm not even telling you I don't believe that. I'm telling you that the history of work by police departments has earned that skepticism.
Dan Le Batard.
Our thanks to Domonique Foxworth for sitting in with us. He has sucked at the reads today, but he don't think so. And even if he does think so, he doesn't think he's going to suck at the next one.
Stugotz.
Fox and socks. Socks box knocks. Knocks and box, Fox and socks. Knocks on Fox and socks and box. Socks on knocks and knocks and box. Fox on socks on box on knocks. Take that, Dr. Seuss.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
A lot of you are writing in. There are a lot of people who derive a great deal of joy in their unhappy lives from just trolling for misery. So I'm on to all of you by the text machine, just trying to rile me up. So many things that you're saying offensive about Puerto Rico and Hispanics and everything else. I see you, and I will not fall for your trick. We have figured it out around here, because many of you are writing in also. You're going to lose so many listeners. We've never had more. Seriously. Like, we've never had more. Ever. And I'm telling you, I don't talk about race this way to get ratings, because I know it doesn't. Like, this is not the viewpoint to take if you want to get ratings. I am playing to the minorities here, and it's easier and more profitable to play to the majorities.
This is Dan, like, remember when LeBron lost those first finals and he sat up there and said, you got to go back to your miserable life? This is Dan's moment. Like, we've never had more viewers.
Listeners.
Oh, that's right. I got a flim situation.
Yeah.
You don't have a button?
So I froze up because I didn't have a button.
You okay?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know yaks have pink milk?
What?
Never had more listeners than we have right now.
What did you just say about yaks? Yaks do what with pink milk?
They make pink milk.
Yep.
Did you know that? Guillermo, put it on the poll.
Didn't know that.
Did you know that yaks make pink milk?
Rash them.
What are you trying to distract me from? Are you trying to distract me from sounding arrogant and defensive? Is that what you were trying to help me with? You're diluting it?
You never answered the question. Do you know?
I didn't know that. No, clearly I didn't know that. Why would I know that yaks produce pink milk?
I knew it.
I know it.
Why did you know it?
It's something you learn. I mean, you just live life. You shelter life, this existence of only being on South Beach forever. Maybe you would pick a thing up or two. Be smart like me and Stu.
You've never seen a yak. And Guillermo, put that on the poll. Have you ever seen a yak?
Yards after catch?
Yes! The winner!
You know what I got? You know what I found myself getting mad at yesterday? I'm not even kidding you. Who's that guy, number 22, playing fullback or halfback or...
Ripkowski?
Yeah, Ripkowski. Thank you.
Such a great name for a fullback.
Yeah, no, but I just saw, there was a clip, all right? It's Aaron Rodgers on his own goal line. Yak made me think of this. And a video came up, and they showed what Ripkowski did, which is he took 2 steps, he, like, moved a hip, and then turned around. And it was so offensive to me that Aaron Rodgers would have to play with this person.
You did properly describe it. He threw his hands to the right. and then got slowly back to the left.
But wait a minute, I need to explain to people how long this route was. It was right in. He went from running back to the line of scrimmage, threw his hands to the right, like to get the center, the defensive back in the line, like some sort of sorcery.
That was his juke. Right there.
It was his sorcery. He threw his hands to the right and then turned around to the left, and Aaron Rodgers just tossed it to him. And I'm like, you've offended me. You're blaspheming against the best quarterback I've ever seen. To call that play and to have that person running it on his behalf, because the possibility of yak, you'd be better off throwing it to an actual yak and just taking your chances with what happened after that. Runs the wrong way, fumbles the ball.
It's a crime. Like, it should be a crime what they've surrounded Aaron Rodgers with, and I think what Derek Jeter plans to do down here. It's going to be a crime.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous.
Awful. And you're going to let him get away with it.
No, what are you doing? You're getting carried away. Let's stay here. You lighten the show up. Now let's stay here. Why are you trying to get him started up on Jeter?
Well, because it's annoying what Jeter is doing, talking about a winning culture. What is Derek Jeter? Guillermo and I were discussing this. I don't want to take all the credit for this, but what does Derek Jeter know about a winning culture? Thank you.
Nothing.
What does he know?
I mean, get him. The convoluted constrictor of contradiction, Stugotz, is back.
Now, I know what you're saying to yourself, that Derek Jeter has done a lot of winning, but really, what does he know about a winning culture?
Nothing.
Because of the 19 years, actually 20 years. He played 20 years in the majors. You know how many years that team had the highest payroll of the 20 years he played in the majors?
Tell him, Stu.
18.
Whew.
18.
So you know who built that culture? Ben Franklin.
Exactly right. The Benjamins. It's all about the Benjamins. And that's what Derek Jeter knows about. He knows how to buy a good team. He doesn't know how to create a winning culture.
Never have in his life.
You want to impress me? Go ahead and win with the lowest payroll in the sport. Because that's what David Sampson did. Go ahead and do that. Then I'll be impressed, Jeets.
Torrey built the culture.
That's right.
Steinbrenner built the culture.
You ain't kidding.
Jeets.
Exactly. Overrated.
How much respect do you have for him?
None.
Well put.
Don Le Batard.
So I keep reading about whales and dolphins and blah, blah, blah. Then I stumble upon this great animal called the narwhal, which is essentially a unicorn whale. A unicorn whale.
What?
Google it.
Stugotz.
Oh, my God.
Narwhal.
Thank you.
Look at it. Life changer. Narwhal.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
The show is trying to help the good people of Puerto Rico who are enduring some suffering right now. So if you want to do so, ESPNU, we are on ESPNU right now. Lorenzo's going to put up the website here at some point, hfuw.org/PR. That is the organization that Disney is affiliated with. It's the Heart of Florida United Way, and we're going to make sure that that stuff gets to people who need it. hfuw.org/PR. We will have it on the screen all week if you want to help. Domonique Foxworth in with us. A guy writes in, or a woman writes in, a yak doesn't produce pink milk. After birth, a yak's first milk contains blood, giving it a pink tint. Hippos are the only animal to produce pink milk.
Seems like they produce pink milk. The first time, milk is pink. When it is produced, light red hue, pink milk.
It's just bloody milk, though.
That's right. It makes sense that it's blood. I thought it was strawberry.
Right, it is tinted with blood.
Whose word are you taking here?
Well, we've got a controversy now. Ron McGill will settle it.
Yeah.
Ron McGill will be here at 12 noon. We will find out the answer to your questions and whether you're an animal fact imposter or not.
Get Ronnie in here.
All right. You're very confident. You're always confident because you're a former cornerback. But
he's the most confident guy I know.
Well, no, he's the most. Mina calls him the most confident, insecure person she's ever met.
That would be me.
I don't actually.
No, I think that's Mina. When Mina had that first description, it was like an article about a show that we were doing, and she gave that description anonymously. And I was like, Mina, I know that's you.
Wait a minute, somebody was quoted an anonymous source. That was an anonymous source. I didn't realize I just betrayed the sourcing on that article.
No. I already knew it was Mina. Mina, I know it's you. But, I mean, it's kind of accurate. Sorry. I mean, we all have a little bit of insecurities. I'm sorry.
But wait a minute. Hold on a second. So somebody wrote an article about you, and Mina was quoted she was an anonymous source in an article about you. Did she not want to be quoted calling you the most confident, insecure person she's ever met?
I have no idea. But in the story, it was about the show that Mina Clinton and I used to do, and it quoted Mina saying some things, it quoted Clinton saying some things, and then it said a colleague or something like that.
She went off the record to call you the most confident, insecure person she's ever met?
Because Mina hates anything close to confrontation, as you guys may or may not know. Anything that resembles, anything near confrontation, she gets all uncomfortable and weird, so...
Well, here's what's one of the many funny differences between Domonique and Mina, and both of them have figured out, and this is the danger of having really smart evolutions in the gas bag pool. They figured out, the both of them, really fast, that it's much funnier to side with you on stuff than it is to side with me on stuff.
Duh.
Funnier.
They both figured it out, but hold on a second. But Mina's less comfortable with it because Mina will not look at me when she does it.
You're
staring right at me.
Oh, yeah.
You are staring.
I get all in you.
You are staring. Mina won't even look at me. She knows she's doing it. I know she's doing it, and she just stares at Stugotz while doing
what?
It.
Yeah, but I don't know what you're talking about. You think they're doing this to be funny?
I'm not.
Right.
Stu is a genius.
Yep.
I mean, he's closer to the truth on so many more things than you. That's just the way it is. I think that you use big words and you talk about all these grandiose thoughts and you convince people that somehow you're smarter than Stu. But in actuality, the everyman is closer to the real life. He gets his hands dirty. He puts his hands in the dirt.
Man.
It's all polysyllabic camouflage.
That's all it is. It's word salad.
Mm-hmm.
I get to the heart of the matter, man. I just go right in and I tell the truth. I'm a truth teller, man.
Okay, that's right. So Jeter, what does he know about a winning culture? That's
Nothing.
something that nothing.
Nothing. Right. Has he ever created one? No. They bought one.
You live in Miami. You know how to create an island? No.
What?
Well said,
South
man.
Beach, I mean.
What?
Good job, Stu.
What just happened there? I don't
Good
even
work.
understand. How was that good work? What was that?
I mean, just because you live on South Beach does not mean you know how to make an island. So just because he lived in New York for the Yankees does not mean he knows how to build a winning culture.
Exactly.
Boom.
Right. I mean, he played on teams who bought a winning culture. He did not create the winning culture. You said yourself, if Derek Jeter played on the Pittsburgh Pirates, he'd be just another shortstop.
Well, I've never said that.
You said it yourself. I heard you. We got it on record.
Yep.
Look it up.
I never said that.
Print it out.
Yep.
Fax it.
Right.
Fax it?
Yep.
Faxing it.
Baby.
What do you mean what's happening? Mike, you know what's happening. They are working together to just destroy the construct of the show in a way that requires me to get annoyed.
You're not annoyed.
So that it's funny.
No one's destroying the construct. I'm telling you how I actually feel. I actually feel that Stu is smarter than you on most issues. That's real. I'm sorry. I know we're friends. I trust you. I respect you. I think you're a smart man, but you're no Stu. Let's be serious.
It's a tough pill to swallow, man.
It's such a hard thing to learn right here live on the radio in front of everybody.
You're really fitting out right now, too.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, I'm not going ahead.
No, please go do the show. Do the show. No, do the show.
We want to do the show with you.
Go ahead. Do whatever you guys want to do. You're already doing it, so I'll just recuse myself from it and do it.
Don't recuse yourself. We love having you here. Now this is where you act like a petulant child, and it's not okay. So Stu is the butt of so many jokes, but Stu is strong. He's tough. Look at that face. Look at that grizzled face, that jawline. He can take the abuse.
Yep.
You don't have a body built for punishment. Baby. Rash 'em.
I'm starting to get nervous.
C.O.B. Case.
I just don't know what you guys want me to do. What do you want me to do?
I want you to give your opinion on Derek Jeter.
Yeah. I mean, you did say, it is ridiculous for Jeter to say that, is it not? That he's he's going to build the winning culture. Derek Jeter's going to, because you can't build that, Dan. They bought it. You can't build it.
It's a ridiculous thing for Derek Jeter to believe he's a winner.
No, to say
Don't change the question. Question changer.
No, that to suggest that he's capable of creating and building a winning culture.
To the extent that
winning
anyone
does that.
No, but to the extent that anyone can build it. Who can build it? John Elway can build it? Who can build it? How? I don't believe in any of that stuff. You know, I don't believe that a guy can come over and wave a wand over an organization and bring winning to it. So
and And you're right, and I'm agreeing with you because I used to believe in that stuff. I used to think that if Bill Parcells took over your organization, you would therefore have a winning culture and by extension be a really, really good team. And that wasn't the case down here in Miami. And so I used to believe that kind of stuff where Derek Jeter could walk in, even as team president, not playing on the field, wave a magic wand, and boom, there's a winning culture.
But that's what he's selling. Like, that's how he got into baseball ownership with no real money. Like, no real money to buy a baseball team. He's a very small percentage holder of the Marlins, and he's got all of the power. And the way that he got that is because people absolutely believe in that mythology. He's developed an entire career around that mythology. I've never said he'd be just another shortstop in Pittsburgh. I said that if he were in Pittsburgh, he'd be a great shortstop, and you wouldn't consider him the way that you now consider Derek Jeter to be a flume toward winning.
That's fair.
So I think all Stu is doing is pointing out the same thing you're pointing out, is that it's a myth, it's hype, and no one buy it, and a lot of people buy it, but Stu's not falling for it. Neither am I.
That's it. I mean, I'm not falling for it with Jeter, certainly.
But he's got no money. They're not going to spend. And so the way that they're going to try to win is because Derek Jeter will get people that he believes will find hidden gems and talents at value. And why wouldn't Derek Jeter believe that he is preternaturally, supernaturally gifted when it comes to winning? Why wouldn't he believe that? We've only been saying it about him for 2 decades.
So it's on us. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. You're probably right. Yes, we've been telling him how great he is for 2 decades. So
when has he lost? When has he done anything that looks like losing in business?
He's about to.
Okay, but why wouldn't Derek Jeter believe all the mythology about Derek Jeter? Good God, he's been living in that place for a long time.
Do you think Jeter and this ownership group, when they were negotiating to buy this team, they busted open the books, and they probably had a different plan about how they'd manage this team, and then they saw the books and they realized, oh, man, we can do it this way? There's so much money in doing it this way. This Loria guy, he was on to something.
Well, that's the thing, that Jeter will win here even if the team doesn't, because given their regional television contract and given that they already have their ballpark, they could literally have 0 people in the stands for every game, and it would still be a functioning business model. 0. You could have 0 customers and play baseball, and it'd be fine, so they could do it on the cheap.
And he still gets $5 million a year.
Who is the person in sports that, I mean, I know you don't believe that anyone has like a magic wand, which I agree with you. You see all these people leave Belichick and go and fail because they can't take the whole culture by themselves. But is there anyone, or who is the person that you think has the largest
Saban,
impact?
because they're fixed costs.
Saban in college.
Yes, Saban in college, right. Because once you build it, then you can pour money into it, and there's no salary cap on all the coaching that he's doing. There's no salary cap on the facilities, and now he can just get all the best players. Like, that's the way to do it is the way that Saban did it. But when you've got to have a business model that's totally unjust in order to make it so. Football forces with salary cap, they don't give you a lot of room to be smarter than everybody else.
No. And Belichick failed, as you pointed out. I think Urban Meyer's another guy in college only.
Calipari's got to figure it out, too.
I would disagree with you on this point. They only give you room to be smarter than everybody else. They don't give you football doesn't give you a lot of room to, outspend other people. Like, the only way you can win, and, I've run into this a lot with, I was a part of negotiating the last CBA, and people always complain about how the decreased practice time hurts the quality of the game, which I disagree, and obviously, reducing hits to the head is more important than any of that. But what it actually does is it requires your coaches to be more effective, efficient, and smarter, and it levels the playing field. Whereas other coaches might coach or have the players on the field for 4 hours. Now you have a time limit on it, which means that you need to be efficient with your time. So I think that the limitations and the constructs, they tend to make you be more creative. Like, necessity is the mother of invention.
But Saban's getting all of the players in college. Right. Like, he's got an unfair advantage that he built.
Right.
That now is almost insurmountable because all of the players want to go there. That advantage is bigger than anything he could possibly have in the pros.
In the pros, though, can you say that Theo Epstein has that ability? Because he's just great at selecting players. That's it. He's great at making trades and selecting players. Everywhere he goes, there's a winning culture. It's not Boston spends a lot of money. The Cubs could spend a lot of money. But the way Theo put this Cubs team together was through great trades and a great farm system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I guess I would just still push back on the Saban thing because Saban isn't smarter, and none of them are showing that they're smarter necessarily. I think the people who do it with less are the teams and the coaches and the managers that show that they're smarter.
Okay, though, but this is what I would say to you on specifically how it worked with Alabama. They're winning the championship. He's on the flight home. He's negotiating more funds for his facility after leaving Miami on the team plane. Those are things that he can do. Those things are not things that buy you any advantages in the pros. None. Those kinds of things. CEO using his power to reinvest money in the thing that's already built differently than everyone else. Like, Saban had some advantages in the pros, not advantages as big as that one, which is he can bury everyone because now he's getting all of the great players. Who can do that in the pros? How is that an ability that can be recreated in the pros?
I can't.
Don Le Batard.
Is Saban the best?
Yes, maybe, no. Stugotz.
Is Saban the best?
Yes, maybe, no. This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Domonique Foxworth in with us today for a little while. He will be on with us the entire show later this week. Always grateful for his presence. Very few people at this company as talented as he is at all of these things that we discuss. Greg Cody of the Miami Herald is not here today because he was at Derek Jeter's press conference and he is covering news. And our thanks to Domonique Foxworth for channeling the spirit of Greg Cody, channeling it, the spirit of Greg Cody on this Tuesday. But Greg Cody was in actual journalist form. Look at him. He is reporting live from the scene where Derek Jeter said exactly 0 interesting syllables. Was there was there one syllable? Was there a single syllable that Jeter uttered during this press conference that was not hackneyed cliche?
Wow, what a setup! No, to say that he was not particularly illuminating would probably be on the mark. He was very cautious, as you'd expect. I mean, he must have referenced a half a dozen times that, hey, this is day one. We're new at this.
Did you question the self-worth of what you do for a living, sitting in that room listening to inanities tumbling from his lips?
Well, no more than I do every day in this career, but yeah, I would say so because it was a cautious press conference, short. I think it lasted 28 minutes. He was not illuminating, and to be honest with you,
28 minutes is oddly specific.
That's weird, man.
28 minutes is
like, were you
oddly
timing it? I don't understand.
Well, when you're tape recording a press conference like I was, you
wait a minute. Are you going to re-listen to that crud?
It was actually 28 minutes and 31 seconds, so technically it was 29 minutes if you're rounding up.
Right.
But the only thing that interested me was what he did not say. It was not a pandering press conference. He did not say things that weren't going to come true, such as, darn right we're going to increase the payroll, and damn right Stanton's going to end his career here. He didn't say the easy things that would later come back to be wrong, which I give him a little bit of credit for. He didn't walk himself into a corner by saying, we think we have the best outfield in baseball. It's going to stay intact, because he knows that Stanton's, sale value right now is greater than it's ever been or ever will be. And so if the right deal comes along and they can restock their minor league system, they're going to do that. He didn't say that specifically, but that's certainly what he conveyed.
Did you come close to falling asleep during the press conference?
Yeah, I really did. I snored at one point, and luckily Steve Shapiro, the local TV guy, nudged me awake, or else it would have been embarrassing.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Did you make a mistake in doing that instead of this today?
It depends. Am I getting paid today as if I were on the air by ESPN?
No.
What?
No.
Then I made a mistake.
I mean, honestly. All right. Anyways, go ahead.
I got to call Eisner, because I really should be paid. I mean, if I'd taken a sick leave, if I'd called in sick, I would have been paid, right?
Stu and I have been talking a lot about Jeter, and what expectations should be for him. So you're there, you've heard from him. What do you think are realistic expectations?
I don't think he's going to turn it around instantly, but here's the problem. It's been done. I mean, Minnesota...
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cody on ESPN Radio.
Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, STUGOTZ, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
A Zebra steel pen feels good the second you pick it up. These are tough pens that combine style, strength, and value. So, as you battle your way through the day, arm yourself with a tough Zebra steel pen. Now you've found Zen in your pen, and it's tough as steel.
Don Le Batard.
Is it fair to say that Stugotz isn't trying very hard?
Stugotz.
Duh.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Ron McGill of Zoo Miami with us now on ESPN Radio. Pink milk. What can you tell us about pink milk in the animal kingdom?
It's found in some marine mammals, I know. I think it's just basically fortified milk. It probably has some element of blood or something in there that helps fortify the milk. I don't know anything more specific about it than that. Sorry.
Yaks and hippos. Yaks and hippos, both.
Well, hippos, they also produce that pink sweat, which people always are questioning about. So
what?
Yeah, they produce a pink sweat. Hippos produce a very pink sweat.
Go ahead, make the joke, Stugotz.
You don't have pink sweat, Dan.
Tony, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Tony.
Hey, Ron, this is Tony. Like with the NHL hockey season starting around, I know you talked about animals playing football. What would your ideal line for hockey be with animals?
Oh, gosh. That's a good question because they'd have to be good on ice. I mean, I have to go with polar bears. Polar bears. All polar bears.
I mean, that's big. You got a slow team, man. You got a slow team.
Yeah, but who's going to stop them? Think about the checking that's going on there, bro. That's going right through the boards.
Right, but you've got all goons. You've got all goons. You've got
no, but they're good. They're big. They're huge. They're cleaning it out. They're wiping everything down.
So everything is polar bears? We got nothing but polar bears? Hold on a second. I think we've got some sort of objection from somewhere in the room.
Ron McGill's talking my language right now, bro. Penguins are pretty good on the ice, both the animal and Sid the Kid.
Ah, get out of here.
Yeah, penguins are pretty good on the ice. The problem is that polar bears eat penguins.
Ooh. That's a 2-minute. That's a 2-minute major hockey guy who's far away from the microphone.
5-minute major, if I've ever heard of one. Bro. Dude.
Game misconduct.
Bro.
Penguins and polar bears, that's all we've got. Joe, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, what's up, Ron? Quick question. Do animals get depressed? And if they do, do they ever, commit suicide? Like a monkey hang himself on a tree or like a bird nosedive in a lake? And if so, has that ever happened in your zoo?
No, never had an animal commit suicide. Don't know for a fact that animals do commit suicides. However, animals do get depressed. And animals will get depressed to the point where they will stop eating and they will die. That was a well-documented incident. Jane Goodall documented that with chimpanzees, where the mother of a chimp died, and that chimp literally went into such a deep depression it stopped eating. It just curled up in a ball and eventually died. So they do a depression, but to say that they physically do something to expedite a suicidal type of act, I've not seen that. People will talk about, what about all the lemmings that jump off the cliff? Everybody's seen the lemmings of jumping off a cliff and committing suicide. That was actually not something that happened naturally. As it was found out later on, that was something that was actually forced upon those poor animals to make the movie.
Lori, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Lori.
Hi there. I have a question about eagles. I'm wondering how much weight, how big of an animal they can actually pick up. I had an eagle recently hovering over me and my dog while we were walking, and my dog is a Basenji.
How big is your dog?
It's a Basenji, so it's probably about 22 pounds.
Oh, yeah, an eagle will eat that up.
Okay.
Yeah, take it into battle.
No, it won't,
Take it into the sky. Take your pet into the sky as you scream in horror on the floor. Yeah.
Dan, stop it.
No.
Stop it.
No?
Okay. No. It's not going to take a 22-pound dog. No eagle in the United States is taking a 22-pound dog. The most powerful eagle in the world is the harpy eagle. It's found in tropical America. Right. It will take a 10 to 15-pound monkey or sloth. I've seen that happen. Incredibly powerful. But there is no eagle, there is no hawk in the United States that's going to take a 22-pound dog. Having said that, if you're walking around with a little 3 or 4 pound Yorkie, you better watch out because birds of prey will take them. A big owl will take them.
You're naive. That
Dan,
woman's dog
where do
is
you
a
come from with
meatloaf.
this stuff? Dan, stop this. You are what's wrong with people trying to give wrong impressions about animals. Look, there's no
Miguel,
you
don't know that it can't happen, Ron. A, you don't know that it can't happen. B, you are the only one who's blasphemed against this country and the beloved eagle by calling it a buzzard with a better PR agent.
I called it a vulture with a very good PR agent, okay? That's the habit of the bald eagle. The bald eagle would rather stand on top of a trash pile and get freebies off the trash pile or dead fish or fish that have been caught by a bear than hunt by itself. Now, if it has no other option, it is an effective hunter, okay? But preference-wise, it would rather just scavenge off of a dump. That's fact, Dan. That is just fact. It's a beautiful bird. It's a majestic bird, but it's a scavenger.
Boycott the zoo. Boycott you.
What?
Because you're blaspheming against the American symbol.
Oh, my
taking a
God.
knee against
Look
you.
at this guy.
Michael,
I think he does sweat pink.
American symbol. You're offending me and Eagles and everyone else. Speaking.
Whoa.
I do pink sweat. I don't care who knows it.
Whoa.
Michael, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead.
Hey, Ron. The aquarium gets a lot of protesters. Does the zoo get protesters as well? If not, then what's the difference?
Well, we have not. We've been very lucky that we do not get the protesters. Nothing like what unfortunately is happening at the aquarium. I think the big difference is right now, killer whales are something that are a very sensitive subject, and that killer whale is just getting a lot of attention. This zoo is a much larger facility than the aquarium. I think the aquarium does a great job with what they have. They have great dedicated people. But having said that, you're comparing apples and oranges when you look at our facility, and we have, the animals you see here are animals that one of the biggest things is that Lolita was not born in captivity. She was pulled out of the wild. That's a big point of contention. But having said that, the animals you see here at the zoo are animals, generally speaking, born in captivity. They are wide open exhibits. And I think we've proven over the 35 years that we've been here how we're dedicated to protecting these animals and taking care of them.
David, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, David.
Hey, besides Dan, what animal has the foulest, smelliest species and gas?
Thanks, David.
Okay, that's going to be any of the big cats. I tend to go with cheetah because I've smelled cheetah so often, and it almost gives me a gag reflex. But having said that, probably the single worst one I've ever smelt in my life was a Komodo dragon. I had a Komodo dragon in a van once. I was getting ready to do an educational presentation with this Komodo dragon, and it just cut loose in the van. And I'm telling you that my eyes instantaneously watered. I threw up a little bit into my mouth. I had to open the windows in the van, and my passenger was with me, another trainer. We stuck our heads out of the van as we're driving like a dog. When a dog is driving, it's got his ears flopping in the wind? That's how we were, so we didn't wreck. That's how bad it was.
I love you so much, Ron McGill. Ron McGill is just a fundamentally decent person, courteous, always brings the same energy, even if on occasion he's answering the same question.
What is the matter with you? What is the matter with you? What is the matter with you?
You're right, Ron.
First you attack me because I'm attacking our national symbol.
I'll tell you what happened there. No, what happened? I'll tell you what happened there. Nobody was listening here to your answer because Mike Ryan was very pleased with himself because after I went to that caller, David, Mike Ryan played this. Many of you may not even noticed it. Many of you may have thought you were thinking about being haunted from a segment 2 segments ago.
Thanks, David.
So that was right there. And so I wasn't listening to anything you were saying because everybody back there was howling at the time that Liam Neeson called me during an interview on television, not Dan.
Oh, wow.
If I had asked you many years ago, hey, action star, this is where you're going to end up, action star, would you have said, yeah, that's probably so?
No, not in a million years, David. Not in a million years.
Liam, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate the time.
Thanks, David. Take care.
Let's go ahead and do the play-by-play on the video
ready?
now. Let's do the play-by-play on the video.
Hold on a second.
ESPN.
Going to it. Opening it up. You ready? Here we go.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, it's a little cat and mouse. Little mouse. Cat staring down the mouse. So it looks like it's a stare down. Here's the cat looking at the mouse. The mouse is looking at the cat. Is the cat going to get him? The cat. Oh, what's this? A chicken came in here. I grabbed the mouse. Oh, he's beating the mouse.
No!
Oh, my God.
There was his friend! There was his friend! There was
Le Batard.
You're just allowed to give me one word on what you think. I tell you, American flag, you give me one word on what you think. Go ahead, Chris. You're only allowed one word.
Freedom.
That's what I was going to go with.
Stugotz.
Guillermo.
Bald eagles.
What?
It's 2 words. Well,
I mean, God, $2.
That's a fine.
$2. I mean,
That's a fine.
Do you realize how hard it is to be that bad with 2 words, man?
Apple pie.
I got 2 words for you.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Richard Sherman said the other day that fantasy football has a way of dehumanizing the athlete, that you don't care whether he's injured on the ground or not. You just care how it affects your fantasy team. And while I believe that what he was saying was accurate, I think everything that's baked into that sport, everything, dehumanizes the athlete. From the fact that you can't see most of their faces.
Right.
The bodies are largely disposable, replaced by others very quickly. When a guy goes down with an injury, most people watching, unless it's horrific, are worried about their team's chances more than they are about the person being in physical pain. And I think we just sort of shrug our shoulders to the facts that this last weekend, a guy bruised his heart.
Yep.
David Carr, his back is broken. And originally his coach said, it's just spasms. And now he'll be back as fast as he possibly can be with something wrong near his spine.
Yep, fracture in the back, 2 to 6 weeks.
But
Dan, it's the ultimate team sport, right? So, we care more about the individuals in the other sports. All those reasons you gave are right, but it's the ultimate team sport. You don't care about the individuals as much as you care about the team. You care about LeBron more than you care about the Cavs.
Yeah, but the fan is selfishly interested in what the fan is selfishly interested in, whether it's the money he's gambled on the game, whether it's how it affects his fantasy team, or whether it affects his or her feel good on Sundays, just because this athlete X is a bum and makes your Sunday less good because he got beaten in coverage or blew an assignment or fumbled the football. Do you not believe, how many of these guys do you legitimately care about? Like you feel like you know them and you care about what it is that they are as human beings. To me, there's sort of something about the football. Everyone is so disposable in football except for like a handful of guys.
I mean, I care about Aaron Rodgers. I care about Richard Sherman happens to be one of the guys I care about. Michael Bennett, the Seahawks team to me is interesting, just about all the players on that team. Maybe Tom Brady.
There aren't many guys in the league that you connect with in a soulful human way. Richard, what are you shaking your head about, Roy?
I care about Richard Sherman.
How insincere Stugotz just was there about caring about Michael Bennett.
You can't judge my sincerity, man.
I wasn't. I was asking Roy why he was shaking his head.
You are a liar.
I'm not.
I do not care about Richard Sherman.
I absolutely
whatsoever.
You can't question my sincerity. You are a liar. I believe your sincerity has been questioned.
I think it has.
Russell Brand next.
Don Le Batard.
Texter writes in, Stugotz looks homeless today. If I saw him walking down Ocean Drive, I would give him $5.
Stugotz.
Thank you.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
This guy crushed it yesterday. Many of you have written in, I got it wrong. I called Derek Carr, David Carr. What's the fine on that? What is the fine on that?
Well,
Thanks, David.
The listeners caught. Yeah, I didn't. So
what is the fine?
$2 is fine.
All right.
Russell Brand was exceptional yesterday. Yes. He's always exceptional.
Yes. New book, Recovery, available now. It's already a #1 bestseller in the UK. We appreciate his honesty, his vulnerability, and the tapestries he weaves with his vocabulary. He chooses funny words, man. He uses vocabulary like a weapon comedically. Russell Brand with us again on ESPN Radio. I'm curious, in the writing of the book, and thank you again for making time for us, in the writing of the book, what did you discover about yourself that you did not know before you underwent this process?
I'm a very sensitive person. I suppose I kind of knew that already, but also I discovered that seemingly innocuous incidents in daily life can be somehow stitched back to more significant moments in my past. Like, for example, I might have a small quibble with my wife, but when I break that down and analyse it using the program in my book, I see how it relates to issues of abandonment and fear right from my childhood, which I would never notice if I didn't have a program. And my speculation is, Dan and Stu, that most of us are moment to moment acting in unconscious ways that we're not aware of. Someone says something to you in traffic and you're full of rage instead of a proportionate response. Someone flirts with you a little bit and your pants come flying off and suddenly your marriage is in jeopardy. I think that we're living on a knife edge of our own unconscious fears and desires, and this program awakens you to it. So even when I was writing the book, I began to see how my own unconscious patterns were affecting my behavior.
This guy is amazing.
No, he's really smart, but it's all. He also has the he has the things that would make people a part of a cult behind him.
He speaks good.
Yes, he does speak good. Thank you, Stugotz. He speaks good.
I am trying to start a little bit of a cult, and be careful how we pronounce that on live radio. But I think where David Koresh left off, I could very much pick up again.
Okay, I'm just curious what, and thank you for going deep on difficult subject matter. What would you say most formed you in childhood, or most damaged you from childhood that you've tied roots to?
Well, I think possibly a sense of isolation, and that's not for any fault of my family. I come from a pretty ordinary background, a single mum, but I still saw my dad, and he was a cool guy. But I think, like a lot of kids, I disappeared in my head. I was like I was very close to the TV, always being told, "You're sitting too close to that TV, you'll get square eyes." I was eating too much candy and chocolate as a kid. I think that people in our culture are brought up to think that you can make yourself feel better by sort of eating stuff or by doing stuff. It's sort of our religion. Consumerism is our religion. We can make ourselves better by doing stuff. And already I give my little kid the phone. Like if she starts crying or punching me in the face, and she does both of these things pretty often, more than I thought an 11-month-old baby would. She's got a pretty good straight right and a workable jab as well. And I give her the phone or food or whatever it is just to stop before the uppercut lands. She's good on combos.
New book, Recovery, is available now. It's already a #1 bestseller in the UK. Russell Brand with us on ESPN Radio.
Russell, I'm reading here that you talked a lot about self-harm, and you self-harm yourself a lot, and you had suicidal thoughts often, and I'm wondering, what's the closest you've come to committing suicide?
Oh, good God. I mean, it's been a long time since I felt that way, thankfully. But when I was younger, I feel like I was looking for connection. Now, look, forgive me getting a bit meta for a moment here on your show, but even our love and our passion for sport is our yearning to belong to a tribe. And even in the conflict we feel between teams that dislike each other, there is a kind of bonding. They say, what do they say? Sport is sanitized war. Those feelings of allegiance we feel for the teams we support, in my case, West Ham United, where is that coming from, that passion? So many men feel emasculated, castrated, have lost their way, have lost their power, don't know how to connect anymore. I stood once in the FA Cup final at Cardiff Stadium watching West Ham United lose to Liverpool FC, very late goal from Stevie Gerrard, the then Liverpool captain, and I was stood my mate is in a wheelchair, so I was in the wheelchair section, and the guy I was standing next to was a dad, and his 12-year-old kid was in a wheelchair too, so I was in that section, I was listening to this dad, and a lot of his attention and a lot of his shouting was focused at the referee, you know? A lot of the time when he was shouting stuff out, it was about the referee. Oh, that's a bad decision. That's a bad decision. Over the course of the game, this man's getting more and more angry until in the end, when, and I think the referee was, if anything, was favouring Liverpool, not West Ham United. So I completely disagree with this man's value judgment. But by the end, he was just shouting, almost in isolation. It's not fair. It's not fair. And I realised this was the only place this guy could shout out about things not being fair, about the injustice he felt. And I imagined for a moment that perhaps it was about even his feelings about his son and his life more broadly. It's not fair. Life isn't fair. Where do we get an opportunity to express these unconscious feelings and fears? That's why I think we need to live with a program, because if you don't have a conscious program, you have an unconscious program, and it's running your life. Think about that next time you go looking at YouPorn or RedTube or whichever particular one that you download your digital ghosts from.
I mean, that was meta, and I don't think that's as close as he's ever come to killing himself that game. He didn't really answer our question, but it was a tremendous answer.
It doesn't matter how he answers anything.
It really doesn't.
It's just
Man,
amazing.
you must. When did you realize you had a gift? Because this must have been such a tool with women, Russell. This gift that you have for hypnotizing charm. Yeah, there he goes. Yes. Like, when did you realize you had a gift for this?
Oh, that's lovely. You're not so bad yourself. That's given me a real little flourish. I thought a pure tingle.
Yes, me too. You've had Stugotz tingling the entire time you've been on with us.
Amazing, man.
I made it weird.
Look at us. We're launching at one another.
Yes.
It's going to become a saber fight with our loins.
Yes.
What I suppose. If you're capable of being truthful in the moment, people find that charming. So I don't, I've never just confined myself to, even when I was a single man and somewhat more cavalier about sexual matters, I wasn't just charming to people that I wanted to have sex with, although that was a big demographic. I tried to be charming to everybody because, really, God, what else is there? What else is there except little moments of connection?
Well, is this as happy as you've ever been?
Yeah, it is actually. Even though, it's difficult to be a parent, isn't it? It makes me feel a lot of respect for women like my mum who brought up a child on their own, or people that are bringing up kids and are struggling and don't have the financial privilege that I now have. Because that kid that I'm looking after, of course she has conquered new territories of love, like the Columbus of my heart, but not a day goes by when she doesn't really viciously wound me and behave in ways that you can't reason with. Charm is useless on a child. I shout in her face, stop it, leave me alone, you're a bad person. I scream at her.
So true.
Your powers are useless against her. All this charm that has built this entire career, it is useless with this one thing that you need it to be most powerful with.
My own child is made of kryptonite. What's the point?
I'm curious, what's the most fun you've ever had, though? This might be the happiest you've ever been, but what's the most fun that Russell has ever had?
Well, I did sort of enjoy the cavalier days of my youth when any situation was a possibility for adventure. I told you yesterday about the Russell Brand Easter hot tub parties. I remember, though, that my life was filled with incidents where I was always looking for the most exciting thing that I could be doing. And the problem is when you're a sex addict, usually the conclusion you draw is having sex. I remember the day when I said to a yoga teacher, is there any particular reason why we're not having sex right now? And she went, no, there isn't. And it was a real relief, I must say. The yoga became a lot more enjoyable after that.
We'll talk to you again tomorrow. We'll talk to you tomorrow, please.
Say yes.
We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
I'll give you daily updates. Every day we shall connect and we shall try and analyse things. Please prepare your questions. I'm happy to help you with anything that's within my limited power as a humble Englishman in a former colony.
All right. New book, Recovery, available now. We'll talk to Russell Brand tomorrow. It's already a #1 bestseller in the UK. Thank you, sir.
He said yes, right?
I think so. Okay. Yes. What are you guys laughing about back there?
Well, because you're on a first-name basis with him now? It's Brand.
Russell.
Did you guys think I forgot his last name?
You did.
I feel like you've lost confidence.
We're not
and
thinking
you almost
it, we
called
know
him
it.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay, put it on the poll at Levitard Show. Russell Westbrook. I forgot the Russell I was speaking to. Russell Athletic at Levitard Show. Put it on the poll.
Dan's new water world isn't going to pay for itself.
Did Dan forget Elton Brand's name?
Dan Levitard.
I do wish that Von Miller would embrace sort of a little more ravishing Rick Rude.
Stugotz.
Ladies, feast your eyes on this sack.
This is the Dan Levitard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
If you are interested in helping this show or the people of Puerto Rico, hfuw.org is where you go. Heart of Florida United Way. hfuw.org/PR. And speaking of Spanish-speaking people, Mike, would you be kind enough to find out for me whether Ryan Clark was indeed on the Spanish language broadcast last night.
Really?
Of Monday Night Football. Ryan Clark, because we need to get that sound. Ryan Clark doesn't speak Spanish, does he? I am being told by informed sources that Ryan Clark was dropped into the middle of a Spanish broadcast not speaking Spanish, so he didn't have very much to say. I think at some point, I'm being told by informed sources, he just said tacos. But he doesn't speak, I don't think he speaks Spanish. Why would Ryan Clark speak Spanish?
Well, I mean, I'd be surprised if he does speak Spanish to the extent where he could actually sit in the booth and call that game, but maybe he knows a little bit of Spanish. You know, like everyone.
Okay, right? Like everyone?
Well, everyone knows.
Poquito?
Gracias.
Poquito?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to know, if it is the case.
Despacito. I mean.
If it is the case that Ryan Clark was on the Spanish language broadcast, A, I want sound of it. B, let's get Ryan Clark on tomorrow, please, to talk about the fact that he doesn't speak Spanish. It was on a Spanish language broadcast. Let's update the polls, please, at Le Batard Show. This is why it's important, Mike, that you have Spanish diversity in the mainstream media. It would never be noticed that Ryan Clark, in a funny way, was on a Spanish language broadcast not speaking Spanish unless you've got Spanish-speaking people paying attention.
And you're certain this happened?
I'm not certain it's happened. I've got sources.
Perhaps maybe we could have talked about this before.
No, that's not the way I do things. Let's update the polls.
Weird story and potentially bad sources. The Le Batard Show Twitter poll is brought to you by Upside. Now say big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You love Upside.com. That is Upside.com. Did you know that Celebrity Prognosticator was supposed to be a crappy celebrity on purpose? 67% of the audience said yes. Is Travis Kelce Kansas City's best option, second best option, or third best option? 40% of the audience said second best option.
So is that a majority there? Who won? We had three options.
We only had
38% say that he is their best option, and 22 think he's third.
All right.
How does that work, Dan?
He's an extraterrestrial, dude. That's how that works. That guy's not human. That guy is and I love that he is just jerk turned up to 10. The volume on jerk turned up to 10.
He's got some sick moves, too.
Yep.
I can't even say this. Is statistical weirdity a phrase?
Statistical.
Well, you said it, man. 66% of the audience said no. It's not. Has Derek Jeter ever publicly or privately said anything interesting? 87% of the audience said no. The 13%, please send us the one interesting thing that he said.
Liars.
I'd like to know about it. Did you know that yaks make pink milk? 88% of the audience said no. Have you ever seen a yak? 64% of the audience said no. Did Dan forget Russell Brand's name? 77% of the audience said yes.
Yes, of course.
Be honest. What happened?
Yeah, I forgot.
All right, that's fine. It's okay, man.
It's okay.
It's all right, man.
It's not okay.
It's okay.
It's the medication, and it's how it ends. Because nobody's going to believe me off in the future when we have the inevitable scandal, and I say, I wasn't right. It was the medication. It was the meds. Everybody would be saying, oh, yeah, sure. Likely excuse.
Convenient.
Uh-huh. That's right.
Do we blame the Ryan Clark thing on medication? Because I am having
I am told that he was on the Monday Night Preview Show. I double-checked my sources during the polling updates. He was on the Monday Night Preview Show, which is all in Spanish, not speaking Spanish. Ryan, if you're within the sound of my voice and you could call in the next 50 seconds from wherever it is that you are.
Be awkward. He's on SportsCenter right now talking about the death of Sean Taylor.
Like, listen, I have, I don't care about any of this stuff. I have his number, and I am scared to text him this question.
All right, we will keep the mystery until tomorrow, where we will not only update it, but solve it. We will solve the mystery. And I got to tell you what I am rooting for. I am rooting for an interview with Ryan Clark in which he explains to us that he doesn't know why he was in the booth of a Spanish language. It wasn't the telecast. It was during the preview show. That he doesn't know why he was there and that he didn't understand anything that anyone was saying. And so he wagered some tacos on something and then left. Because I've got it from informed sources. So we'll see how solid my reporting is tomorrow.
Might these sources have a clip?
Yeah.
they were talking with Ryan Clark about it. And everyone was having a great laugh about it.
Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you are confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you the same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you are getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. That's rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, STUGOTZ. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is